Every morning at 4:30 a.m., while most Americans were deep in sleep, 19-year-old Airman James Mitchell laced up his worn combat boots and stepped into the darkness. The street lamps cast long shadows as he began his daily 10-mile walk to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. James had grown up in a single-parent household. His mother, Sarah, worked 2 jobs just to keep their small apartment and put food on the table. When James enlisted in the Air Force, he knew it was his chance to build a better life for both of them. But with no car and no money for transportation, walking became his only option. The first few weeks were brutal. His feet were covered in blisters, and his legs ached constantly. Other airmen would drive past him on their way to base, some offering rides, but James was too proud to accept charity. He had made a commitment to serve his country, and nothing would stop him from fulfilling that duty. What James didn't know was that someone had been watching his daily journey. For 3 consecutive mornings, a black government SUV had followed his route from a distance. The occupant was Agent Morrison, a member of the White House advance team, who had received specific instructions to investigate reports of an extraordinary young serviceman. The story had reached the highest levels of government through a chain of observations. A local police officer had noticed the same young man in military uniform walking the dark streets every morning. Curious, he had followed up and learned about James's dedication. The story made its way up through military channels until it reached the desk of someone very important. On the 4th day, James received a mysterious phone call. "Your dedication hasn't gone unnoticed," said the voice. "Report to Building 47 tomorrow at 0800 hours. Your life is about to change forever." That night, James barely slept. Building 47 was a restricted area on base that he had never been authorized to enter. He spent hours wondering if he was in trouble, if somehow his walking routine had violated some regulation he wasn't aware of. The next morning, James arrived at Building 47 15 minutes early, as was his habit. The security guard, surprisingly, was expecting him. "Airman Mitchell? Please follow me, sir." The level of respect in the guard's voice was unusual, and James felt his anxiety rising. He was led into a conference room where several high-ranking officers sat around a polished table. At the head of the table sat a man in a dark suit who James didn't recognize. The man stood up and extended his hand. "Airman Mitchell, I'm Agent Morrison from Washington. Please have a seat." James sat down, his mind racing with possibilities. "Son, we've been monitoring your situation for the past week. Your daily 10-mile walk to serve your country has caught the attention of some very important people." Agent Morrison opened a folder and pulled out several photographs. They were pictures of James walking to work, taken from the government SUV. "Every morning at 4:30 a.m., rain or shine, you make this journey. Your commanding officers tell us you've never been late, never missed a day, and your performance ratings are exemplary." James found his voice. "Sir, I'm just doing my job. The Air Force gave me an opportunity, and I'm not going to let transportation issues stop me from serving." The agent smiled. "That's exactly what we hoped you'd say. Airman Mitchell, your story has reached the White House. The President of the United States has personally taken an interest in your situation." James felt the blood drain from his face. "The President, sir? I don't understand. I haven't done anything special." "That's where you're wrong, son," Agent Morrison replied. "In an era where many people look for excuses, you found solutions. When faced with a 10-mile obstacle between you and your duty, you didn't ask for help, you didn't make excuses, you just started walking." One of the colonels at the table leaned forward. "Mitchell, your story has become an example of the kind of dedication and personal responsibility that built this country. When word reached the president about a young airman walking 10 miles each way to serve his country, he said something that I'll never forget. James waited, his heart pounding. He said, "If this young man can walk 20 miles a day to serve America, then America can damn well serve him back." Excuse the language, son, but those were his exact words. Agent Morrison reached into his briefcase and pulled out an envelope with a presidential seal. "Airman Mitchell, you've been personally invited to the White House. The president wants to meet you, and he has something special planned." James stared at the envelope, unable to process what was happening. "Sir, I don't have transportation to Washington. I don't even have dress clothes for meeting the president." The room erupted in gentle laughter. "Son," the colonel said, "transportation has been arranged. Air Force One will make a special stop to pick you up. As for dress clothes, let's just say the president has that covered too." Agent Morrison handed James a phone number written on White House stationery. "Call your mother, James. She's invited too. The president specifically requested that she be present for what he has planned." 3 days later, James found himself standing in the Oval Office, wearing a perfectly tailored dress uniform that had been delivered to his apartment the previous evening. His mother, Sarah, stood beside him in a beautiful dress that had also been provided, tears streaming down her face. President Trump entered the room with his characteristic confident stride. "Airman Mitchell, the young man who reminds us what American determination looks like." He shook James's hand firmly, then turned to Sarah. "And you must be the mother who raised this exceptional young man." Sarah could barely speak through her emotions. "Mr. President, I can't believe this is happening. Ma'am, your son has been walking 10 miles each way to serve this country. That kind of dedication doesn't go unnoticed in my America." The president gestured for them to sit on the couches near his desk. "James, I want you to know that your story has inspired millions of Americans. When we shared it on social media, it went viral within hours. People are calling you the walking warrior, and your dedication has reminded people of what it means to truly serve." The president reached into his desk drawer. "But more importantly, your story has inspired me. In a world full of people making excuses, you found a way. You didn't ask for a handout. You didn't blame your circumstances. You just put one foot in front of the other and got the job done." He pulled out a set of car keys. "Now, I know you're too proud to accept charity, so this isn't charity. This is America taking care of those who take care of America." He handed James the keys to a brand new pickup truck, complete with military veteran plates. "Mr. President," James stammered, "I can't accept this. It's too much." Trump smiled. "Son, you've been walking 20 miles a day to serve your country. The least your country can do is make sure you have reliable transportation." But the president wasn't finished. "There's something else, James. Your dedication has caught the attention of several major corporations. They want to sponsor your education when you complete your military service. Full scholarships to any university you choose." Sarah broke down completely, sobbing with joy and disbelief. The president handed her his personal handkerchief. "And Sarah, a group of military families has set up a fund to help you. You've raised an incredible son while working 2 jobs and struggling financially. That ends today." The president led them to the window overlooking the south lawn. "James, I want you to remember this moment. This is what happens when American values meet American opportunity. Your willingness to walk those 10 miles every day wasn't just about getting to work. It was about proving that in America, dedication and hard work still matter." He turned back to face them both. "I'm also pleased to inform you that you're being fast-tracked for promotion. Your commanding officers tell me you're leadership material, and America needs leaders who understand the value of hard work." As they prepared to leave, the president had one final surprise. "James, every morning when you drove past that route you used to walk, I want you to remember something. You didn't just walk to work, you walked into the American dream." 6 months later, Staff Sergeant James Mitchell drove his truck onto Lackland Air Force Base, where he now served as a team leader for new recruits. Every morning, he would tell his trainees the same thing his president had told him. "In America, there's no obstacle too big if you're willing to put one foot in front of the other." The young man who once walked 10 miles to serve his country had become living proof that in America, dedication and determination can still change everything.